You mentioned something. You said number one thing I want you to address is shame. Even after you cancel some of your clients, do they have remnants of those trauma that produce shame? You talked about your father telling you that a good name is important, and the Bible does say that, and that's what you have. What happens? Because a lot of things are outside our control. I say something that you have good name, let's say because of the grace of God. Jesus Christ had good names, but then they still accused, when it was time for people to choose the notorious murderer, they chose a notorious murderer over Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
despite the fact that this Jesus was the one that was performing all the miracles. So where does the good name thing fit into it? Because you used the words, you said you used to think about the name thing. Have you changed your mind about the name thing? Have you modified it? Can you speak to that?
No, I've not. The thing is, we live in an odd world. All it takes for your name to be smeared is for one person with some 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers to accuse you falsely about. It's the head mentality we're living in right now. It's a mob thing, and someone can just lie against you, and the whole world will believe it, and your name is trending, and you're already in trouble. And then by the time they clear you, nobody's going to hear that they've cleared you. Right. And so a stigma is put on your life if care is not taken. And that's why you can't be too careful sometimes, because a lot of people will give their narrative to whatever has happened. And that's why we always say to people, when something is happening, before they create a narrative for you, you jump on the narrative and create your own narrative. If you're in control of the narrative, then you are not likely going to get hurt, because a lot of people just go down and they say nothing. Now, my name is everything to me, and I am going to fight it, with everything I have. However, I'm not going to lose myself in the bid to fight my name, because it comes to a point where you can't justify yourself. And the only thing that can justify yourself is your result. So let your result do the noise making while you focus on whatever you have to do, right? And that's what I have learned. Because you see, when you are down, there's no need to be flapping your wings. There's no need to be trying to explain. I mean, the energy you're going to be spending to explain is distracting, right? Because there is nothing you say. I mean, it's like the guy called what's his name now, Joseph, right? How many people will Joseph explain to that I did not sleep with Mrs. Potiphar? If there was social media, the guy, he still went to jail. God still did not deliver him. He went to jail, right? How many people? It's because there's no social media that we read that story in the Bible and we are quick to we thank God. He now became what if he didn't become a prime minister? There are people in that situation, right? And so, but you see, the guy couldn't do anything about the accusation, right? But what he could do was to recognize the power that he has, which is interpretation of dreams, right? And that is why what God has given to every human being to bounce back from the failure is the superpower he has given you. That's the power you have to bounce back. So sometimes when people, let's say for some of you now that is an investor that invests for people, and then you suffer the massive loss, the people that will be advising you, what some of them will be saying is that, please don't go back to that place. So what you have lost is God's way of saying that is not the right place for you. But what if that is the place for your superpower? Your greatest loss is actually your place of superpower in most cases.
It is.
And so they will tell you, don't go there anymore. In fact, and you will now take a decision that for the rest of my life, I will not invest for anybody. And that is the old grand plan to checkmate you out of your superpower, because once you move out of your place of power, you become very normal, like every other person. And you will need to be struggling for the rest of your life, because your place, when you find your place of power, you become a book that people will read. There are things you will know that is not taught in any school. But if you have not found your place, you will be writing people's exam for the rest of your life. They will say, there's a new level. You're going to write the new level, because you don't know, you've not found yourself. If you find yourself, become a book everybody's going to read, right? And so a lot of people need to understand that, yes, it's a place where your name has now been put to shame. But that's also the place where you are still going to be celebrated. So you have to get in there and dig in there, because that's the superpower you have.